Hello, BookTube. There's absolute chaos here at Hyde Cottage, in the area of my life that is usually as smooth as a mill pond. My social life. The original plan, of course, for this coming week, for this week and this weekend, was to do more of the same. Walk my little Frida Bean, cuddle with her, play with her, have some bananas, and spend the whole time on the couch or on the bed writing and reading. And emailing up a storm. Love emailing. And then that plan changed. The first change was that a married couple I know who are watching planned on coming to Boston for ReaderCon. And they were going to get a hotel, but they wanted to meet up and do things. So that was the first ripple, was that the weekend wouldn't be just writing and reading. Instead, it would also include socializing, where me and Frida go out, we see the sights, we walk all around, maybe come back here for some food and wine. And so I would have my host hat on. I would be showing people some sights of Boston. That was ripple number one. Then ripple number two was a young acquaintance of mine that I met online. I met him through YouTube. He has a YouTube channel of his own with 1.6 million subscribers. And he was in Boston for some sort of Dude Bro conference or other and wanted to meet up. And so we did, and we hit it off like a house of fire. And that was ripple number two, is that he was in town, but he wanted to visit. So we visited, and we liked each other so much that he visited again. And then we liked each other so much that he visited a third time, each time longer than the time before. And around the time of his third visit, the married couple who were going to be my guests let me know that they were not, in fact, coming to ReaderCon. So that plan changed back, and my young YouTube friend finally left town. And I thought that meant smooth sailing. But instead, I am now going to have a different house guest for the weekend. A house guest. Not a guest into town, not somebody staying at the Hyatt Regency or whatever, but someone staying here. And that is going to happen, I think, tomorrow morning, all the way until Sunday evening. So I'm going to be spending a lot of time longing for when I was a misanthropic old hermit. A quarrelsome old shut-in. But I figured we could at least do some mail. So this turmoil in my social life has disrupted our mail visits, and that's not good. So I've got a little mail haul for you here. We'll go through these things and see if anything can compensate for the pitter-patter of little feet here at Hyde Cottage. Another young person. Goodness gracious. Right, let's see what this first one is. Oh, great. Fantastic. Okay, this comes out in early August. And this is a big subject on BookTube, or YouTube rather. This is by Glenn Adamson, and it is Fewer Better Things: The Hidden Wisdom of Objects. And this is all about paring down, decluttering. The author urges that we reclaim our quote-unquote material intelligence, an intimate connection to the world that has nurtured human development for thousands of years. Adamson values the information and abilities that technology offers, but laments that children and adults alike have lost contact with tangible things. The objects are still here, but we seem to know and care less about them. If we know little about how things are made and the people who made them, it's hard to remain connected to the physical world and to each other. This is going to be possession consciousness. There's a whole weeks and weeks worth of viewing on YouTube about possession consciousness, about paring down your clutter, about minimalizing your life. I find the videos fascinating, absolutely fascinating. Again, this is not something you might expect from looking at the background here in the little book room, but it's a good thing to think about. It's an interesting thing to think about. And even if you start small, a lot of the best minimalist YouTubers will make how-to videos urging you to start small. You don't have to revamp your life. There's a great guy on YouTube, Colin Wright, who does a series of informational talks. But he shot to fame for minimalizing his life to, I think, 50 or 60 objects. There's a great picture of him with everything he owns, literally everything he owns, spread around him in a not very big circle, and he just travels. He developed a fan base and would just let his fan base decide where he was going to go from month to month. And he and many other of minimalists and declutterers on YouTube stress that you can just start small. Start with your wardrobe, for instance. Or that the piles of junk in your kitchen or in some cabinet somewhere. Pull it out. Pull that pile of junk out and seriously, severely assess it. And see what wonders will happen. And I thought about it and thought about it. Of course, I constantly try and keep a cycle here of books so that I'm not up to my eyeballs in them. You would think you come here, you're going to see a lot of books, but you're not going to see a hoarding amount of books. There are no books on the floor. There are no books in haphazard piles. All the walls of the place are covered in bookcases. All the bookcases on those walls are covered in books. But the books are, when you walk into this place, the impression you get is that there are many, many books, yes, but they are under control. And that impression is a reflection of reality, and that reality is bought only with a lot of discipline. I keep the books going out. That's the key. I keep them going out in massive numbers, as well as coming in. But I recently tried it with other things, like for instance, the cot, the sleeping bed, the bed here in this little book room. I used to have it along one wall. I decided I was going to swing it around, move it towards another, so that I could increase my shelf space for a couple more bookcases. And that involved moving my clothes. And when I moved my clothes, instead of just, blindly moving the whole bunch from one spot to the next, I thought, why not take a leaf from the page of these YouTubers and look at my clothes? So I did. I parsed them according to items that I actually wear versus items that I never do, that I never wear. And I put the items that I never wear into a pile, and my God, by the time I was done, half an hour later, the pile of clothes I never wear was enormous. It came out to my chest. Of stuff that's just been taking up space that I put them in bags and I donated them. There was bags and bags of perfectly good clothing that I just don't wear. I donated it and it felt wonderful. And I've been doing little steps like that ever since. Junk drawers in the kitchen, odd accumulations of garbage here and there in corners of the place. Feels wonderful. I encourage it, and I can't wait to read this book, because this I think is going to be along the same lines, where you have less stuff and you appreciate it more, which is the heart and soul of minimalism. So, good. That's a great way to start. That's another August book. Fantastic. Oh, good. Okay. This comes out in mid-October. I've heard lots and lots of good things about this. Haven't read it. Haven't read even a bit of it. But this is by Jane Levy, and it is The Big Fella. This is the newest big biography of Babe Ruth. There he is. There's the Babe. And the World He Created is the subtitle. And it's all about those of you who... Well, I don't know. Those of you who aren't born and raised in America might not know anything about American baseball. You might not know about the rules or the infield fly rule or anything like that. You won't know who the local teams are, and it's just as well, because there's only one that matters, and it's the Boston Red Sox. But you will have heard of Babe Ruth. That was the nature of his superstardom, is that even people who don't know anything about the sport have probably heard of Babe Ruth. I've read every major biography of him that's ever been written, even though there's no new information. It's going to be the zest of the writer that's going to tell the tale. And I've heard rumors that the zest of this book is quite good. It has a high standard to match, because Lee Montville wrote a great book called Big Bam about 15 years ago, 20 years ago, about Babe Ruth, that was amazingly good. But I'm up for it anyway, so that's the fall. That's great. It's another one of the big biographies as we slowly ramp up into biography season. The autumn here in America is biography season. Oh, good. Oh, fantastic. All right, this is a November release, and this is archaeology, popular archaeology. This is Chris Naunton's Searching for the Lost Tombs of Egypt. A perennial subject. You might not think so, but even the Valley of Kings is a place that's been prospected to her fairly well. They're not at all done yielding their secrets. Not at all. And one of the reasons they're not at all done yielding their secrets is because the ancient Egyptians were that fanatical about keeping secrets. Fake tombs, false fronts, fake natural-looking stone walls. They knew everything. They knew every trick in the book, and they had a limitless amount of manpower and money to make it real. So this will probably have a lot of stuff in it that I don't know, which would be great. Like everybody else, I went through a period where I was fanatically interested in Howard Carter and the Valley of Kings and Egyptology in its earliest 19th century days. And I probably haven't kept up the way I should, so this will probably have a lot in it. That's great. Then we'll do this last one. Satisfyingly heavy, so it could be a finished copy of something. Let's see what we have here. Oh no, it's an advanced copy. Oh, okay. Okay, great. Okay, this is due in August. This is due in late August. And this is Titans of History, The Giants Who Made Our World by Simon Sebag Montefiore, who did a really good, I mean, it's disturbing, of course, but it's a really good biography of young Joseph Stalin. He also did a great book on Catherine the Great and Prince Potemkin. So I imagine there'll be one or two Russians in his roster of Titans here. I wonder what we can learn here. I only have the advanced. Oh no, I don't. That is what it's going to look like. Is that Margaret Thatcher on the cover? Oh my God, it is. That's Margaret Thatcher on the cover, right behind Nelson Mandela. Good Lord, a whole bunch of living British politicians who are bleeding from their eyes right now. The giant characters of history, from Mozart to Michelangelo, Shakespeare to Einstein, Henry VIII to Pol Pot, Shaka to George Washington, Jesus Christ to Genghis Khan, live lives of astonishing drama and adventure, debauchery and slaughter, but they also formed our world and will shape our future. Okay. All right. Fantastic. All right, I'm all on board. So how is this going to be arranged? Is it going to be one chapter per person? Or yes, it is. Look at that. It's one chapter per person. And one of the names that my eyes lit upon as soon as I opened the page is the Venerable Bede, who was not a Titan of history. And no one even knows who he is anymore. I was just rereading Bede and remembering how much I love him. Wow. Okay. So the chapters vary in length. It looks like they're all very, very short. And some of them will be problematic. I mean, there's a chapter on Sappho. We know nothing at all about Sappho. There's a chapter on Shakespeare that's almost certainly going to be mostly conjecture. Because if the chapter about Shakespeare weren't mostly conjecture, it wouldn't be about a playwright. It would be about some weird combination of actor and merchant. Let's not dwell too much on the chapter about Jesus. Okay. let's not do that. Of all the characters on this list, Jesus will be by far the most problematic because there is absolutely no documentary evidence that an actual human person named Jesus ever existed. If you rule out as documentary evidence documents written by people worshiping him as a god. I shouldn't have to say that you, of course, rule such documents out, but nevertheless, in the 21st century, I do have to say that of course you rule out documents that worship him as a god. They cannot be taken as on any kind of value at all. And if you rule those out, and all the later echoes and all the later perturbations from those documents, you're left with nothing. Virtually nothing. Scraps here and there that attest to someone named Jesus, but not firm in date. Certainly none of the events in the New Testament. and and not the founder. Well, we'll see. We'll see. I know for sure. The good thing going into a book like this, I mean, ordinarily the idea, the setup, 2 or 3 pages on the titans of history, the great man theory of history, revived in all its glory, with Margaret Thatcher on the cover. That shows you the peril of the great man theory of history. The pitfall of a book like this is that it would be facile. And the reassurance that I have that it won't be is the author. So I've got very high hopes. This author has never, to my knowledge, done any bad work. So we'll see. So there you have it. That is a nice mail haul to start the day. So we have The Titans of History by Simon Sebag Montefiore, a really good historian. Then Searching for Lost Tombs of Egypt. The Big Fella, a big new biography of Babe Ruth, because biographies aren't boring. Okay? And Fewer Better Things, the latest in a very large library of books about decluttering your life and restoring meaning to the things you own. Instead of just having tons of things, you should care about the things you own. It's a very neat way of thinking. Very interesting. If I had a playlist of YouTube videos that I favor, I would put them down below. At the very least, I should probably put a Colin Wright video down below, because if you haven't found him, you really should. He's worth subscribing to, just so that you keep track of what he does in case it's of interest. So that's it. That's it for now. I'll probably be back later today. And in the meantime, I'll see you soon. Thank you, BookTube.